Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. Today we're going to be reviewing Elsbeth Season 2, Episode 1. Hopefully you just watched it with me. So we're just kind of going to talk about it in review. So, one of the things that's unique with the show Elsbeth is that it's kind of like a modern day Columbo. And the reason why I say that is you see who the murderer is. You basically see the murder take place within the first couple minutes of the show, within the before the first commercial break. So you kind of see who the killer is. Sometimes you see why they did it, you know what I mean, and other times you don't. Sometimes you just see them commit the crime, but you're not figuring out the who done it throughout the whole episode. You're actually just seeing how Elsbeth and the police department get the evidence and basically arrest them. So you kind of, I don't want to say the perfect crime, because I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect crime, but in the eyes of the killer, they think it's a perfect crime. And so it's not a sloppy killer, murder, so to speak, because there's not a lot of evidence. So they kind of have to get interesting on how they do it. That's kind of when Elsbeth comes into play. She's so unique. I love Elsbeth because there's nobody like her. She's very unique in her fashion, in her thinking, the way she does things. And she always puts in more time and effort outside the clock, right? So obviously everybody works 9 to 5, 8 to 5, graveyard shift. Everybody has a shift. Well, with Elsbeth, she always spends extra time with the person she thinks did it. So in this case, since this particular episode was about a gentleman named Philip, who, by the way, is a great actor. He's been in stuff. I'm sure you've recognized his face. He did great. He did great in this episode. Philip killed the young man in front of him that sat in front of him for the opera. So it used to be an older lady. She passed, and her grandson, inherited her opera tickets, and he just used it, I mean, obviously, as a way to get women, right? And he even said that to Philip, like, hey, women, like the fact that I have opera tickets. It kind of helps me, get in the sack with them. So every opera, he's bringing different women. He's making out with them. He's playing on his phone. He's doing different things. And then basically the last straw was he took a phone call in the middle of the opera and then left with his date. And that ticked him off, right? I mean, that set Philip off. I mean, he went as far as invented and lied about being a widow, having a dead wife just to have an empty seat next to him. So yes, he took his opera watching very seriously. So I love the quirkiness of Elsbeth. She actually played this role, Elsbeth, in a show called The Good Wife, which I never watched The Good Wife. So I don't know, how she acted in that show. I'm assuming since it's the same name of the character, she was quirky then. I don't know. But I just know that I love her in Elsbeth. Carrie Preston does a great job. Just being kind of quirky and down to earth, because she's kind of like, you know what, and she's kind of everybody's friend. I love the friendship that she's created with Officer Kayla. I love that. And Kayla is such a great character, and she's played by Carla Patterson, and she does a great job. I also love Captain Wagner, which is played by Wendell Pierce. Just love the dynamic of the police station and how they work with Elsbeth. So, because she's so unique. Like in this case, she spent over 4 hours at Philip's house, right? Just learning opera, as a cover, just to get information. And it worked. She was able to get the opera glasses for DNA. The DNA, wasn't Philip, so that was a dead end, but she still got in and got the DNA to kind of prove, that it wasn't his DNA. But she also heard and, Philip confessed about not having a wife and making that up. So Elsbeth did get information. The one thing I love about the show Elsbeth is she meets with the so-called killer, and she does stuff that the police department, doesn't do. I mean, no police officer is going to be able to sit down with him and pretend to love opera. She gets in. Elsbeth finds a way to connect with the suspect that they believe, or Elsbeth believes, killed him. Not everybody believes the suspect that Elsbeth goes for, but she always finds a way to connect. Some way to connect with them personally, and then they let their guard down and she picks up on stuff. She was able to sit down with him and allow him to talk about opera for over 4 hours, and she did all that just to kind of get on his good side and get information. So Elsbeth is a great character. I loved the episode. Towards the end, it looks like, Kayla has to have some classes. She apparently took some AP classes in high school that didn't carry over when she went into the academy. So that's kind of an oversight. Not really her fault, because she was told by the recruit that the classes would transfer. And then obviously later, the new lieutenant, who is very by the book, and he's going back over everything with the fine tooth, pen, right? Obviously, he's looking at everything very specifically and very precisely, and found that error. So now she has to take college courses. She doesn't know how she's going to pay for them, or how she's still going to work and pay rent, but somehow it's all going to work out. Elsbeth is there by her side, helping her along. So that's kind of a side story. Hopefully that doesn't sideline her from the show. I'm hoping this isn't a way to write her off, because I love her and I love how she interacts with Elsbeth. So hopefully it's just a little side story, and if she takes psychology or whatever course she takes will help her in the future on the show. So I really hope she stays on the show, and it's definitely interesting. I love her. I love how, she looks at cases. So like I say, this show is a little different than the regular murder mystery show, because you're not finding the whodunit. You're wondering how Elsbeth is going to get them to confess, or how she's going to get the evidence to prove that the suspect, the person that she suspects did it, really did it, and how they did it. So definitely an interesting show. I hope you enjoyed watching it with me. I hope you enjoyed, talking with me and having that review. I appreciate everybody who watches my videos and subscribes to my channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, just come by next week and we can do it again. So until then, bye.